Welcome to the Planning Board meeting for Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. In compliance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing the annual scheduled meetings to the Star Ledger, Union County Local Source, Union County Hawk, and Tappan to Clark. By posting such annual meeting schedule on the bulletin board in Town Hall reserved for such announcements, and by the proper filing of said notice with the Township Clerk. Formal action may be taken at this meeting. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. I'll do roll call. Mayor Bonacorso?
Yes, here.
Mr. Ulrich?
Here.
Councilman Minetti?
Here.
Mr. Koch?
Here.
Mr. Triola?
Here.
Mr. Altman? Mr. Jacobson?
Here.
Mr. Steinberg?
Here.
Mr. Klee?
Yeah.
Mr. Bricado?
Here.
Okay. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All communication with the planning board is available for public viewing at, it's on, it's not close enough, okay. Not too. I was saying that all correspondence is available to the public at Town Hall. They can go in and see it, so at their leisure. So I'd like a motion to dispense with the reading of any correspondence.
Motion.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Lance. Site plan application resolution. Has everyone had a chance to review the site plan application? Any questions on it, comments? Seeing none, I'd like to have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second, roll call. That was Nate and Mike. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Councilman Minetti?
Yes.
Mr. Koch?
Yes.
Mr. Triola?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Steinberg?
Yes.
Mr. Klee?
Yes.
Mr. Bricado?
Yes.
I kind of went out of order. I apologize. Has anyone had a chance to read the minutes from our January meeting? Is there any questions, comments? If not, I'd like a motion to accept them.
Motion.
Thank you, Lance. Thank you, Mike. Second. I don't think that needs a roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next is a discussion of the 2023 Master Plan Reexamination Report. Mr. Rickey?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I've been asked to assist the township in preparing an update to its master plan reexamination report. Just a couple quick things. The town has not updated its general zoning regulations in a number of years, and have been evaluating and looking to update to modernize the regulations with modern times, changes to state law and the like. It's generally understood that changes to a zoning ordinance should follow a master plan reexamination. Also, the master plan has to be updated every 10 years, and this year is a 10-year update. So this provides the township an opportunity to evaluate its land use policies and the like, update the master plan so that everything is consistent with really the way that the state envisions how zoning should be adopted in the future. To assist in the process, I didn't want to show up without you having anything to review, and so what I did provide to Donna was we just identified your existing goals and objectives, land use policies, and as part of this process, we want to either affirm as being still valid, or to the extent that any of these policies have changed, are there needs for new policies? That's first. Ultimately, we can have a discussion to the extent needed, what the township has done to implement any of these policies. And then any recommended amendments to zoning ordinances. And then also, just to speak quickly, are there any issues that the board members see as being problematic? That could be anything from, traffic in residential streets to whatever. The master plan may not, solve that problem per se, but it can be, identify that as an issue in the community that may need further study or resolution. So is that clear? Is that clear where we're at? So, and a lot of the goals and objectives, I mean, let's face it, as in most master plans, it's a lot of motherhood and apple pie, protect residential character and communities and the like. So, with that said, it's really an opportunity for me to listen to the board and listen to any concerns that you may have or any direction that you have in this regard. And I'll just point out, as part of the process also, we're going to update and provide input on areas that are changing at the state level, at the county level, and a lot of this information that I have. And by way of example, like in 2003, the master plan, it talked about the gypsum property. We know what's happened there. So I would update and discuss Clark Commons quickly. Talks about concerns about Terminal Avenue in 2003, and that was like reaffirmed, and concerns that maybe there was a real shift from industrial, jobs being lost in the county. L'Oreal clearly has reinvested in the area. That area seems pretty stable now, I would say. That would probably be a change to that policy from 2013 as such. So that's a few examples. We'll talk about the housing plan, what the township's done in that regard.
Are the census numbers accurate based on projections?
The census numbers that I gave in this draft those are the census numbers that are out. The census, I'm not sure if it's COVID or what, but they're late in reporting all their information. And that's why it's limited in what we're showing there. I don't know what it is, but it's late. I'm getting a little older now where I can, I know when census data usually comes out after a census, and it's late. And then there'll ultimately be, we incorporate the redevelopment districts into the master plan as being part of the master plan. Right now I know Mr. O'Connor is updating the zoning map. We're looking at, you already did the study for, I guess, the secondary Westfield Avenue redevelopment district. That plan has not been adopted, but, I would just send the email to Mr. O'Connor that, you may want to, that's imminent, so you may want to wait to adopt that zoning map until that final change is undertaken as well. But, I'm also working, with the administrator and the like, and the engineer to receive input. Again, I moved out of town. I did live in town for a number of years, so I have a good feel for things that I think that residents feel important. And if it's easier, I can just continue on this and prepare a more detailed draft for comment as well. But the goal was for this to be really to reaffirm existing policies and the like. And then if you go through this in more detail, if you have any questions or if anything comes to mind, you can email me or call me as well, and I can, try to incorporate everything to the extent possible. And I just would note, compared to a regular master plan, these master plan reexaminations, they're more like legal in the sense that you look at your old policies, are there any changes, and the like. If things are going well, and you like the way things are progressing in the township, there's less need to change things. So I'll stop talking now.
Yeah, I'd just like to add one thing. We also did a little bit more of a deep dive. I met with Janet. We went through different variances that have been issued, what makes sense, what was an issue that we potentially could incorporate as part of the zoning change. So, I mean, we did a pretty deep dive. On the zoning, we worked with Paul, the former planner, Albert, our township attorney, and the engineer. So we went through it in detail. We did an extensive review of everything on our side to, make sure that it coincides with the master plan.
Mr. Chair, if I may, part of this reexamination report, Mr. Ricky, is to incorporate what has happened in the last 10 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
I understand that the town is complying with its affordable housing obligation. I didn't see that reflected in the reexamination report. Is it necessary to address it or not?
We are going to address it. There's like a placeholder later in the packet that I handed out, and there's going to be a discussion of that, what the township's undertaken, or that's in my working. Let me see, or it's in my working copy, but it will be addressed nonetheless.
All right, would be on page 17? Yeah. Okay. And just as a follow-up to the question regarding census data, on page 20, is there anything more current than the information that you have there from March of 22? Under 8 counties and 174 municipalities have adopted complete streets policies.
I'll verify that.
Could you explain what the process is going forward? What is the next step after you complete your review?
Well, I will provide a draft for review. I'm new in the town and working in this regard, so I'll need some direction in terms of the adoption process and when the town believes it's ready. But I'm told that the town wants to move quickly in this regard. I would prepare a working draft in the short term for review and comment. When the town believes that document's ready for adoption, the town would move forward with that process.
I ask because the planning board does have to have a public hearing on this.
Yes.
And at a minimum, 10 days' notice has to be given.
Yes.
I just wanted to have you give the board an idea of what the next steps were to make sure we meet that notice requirement. I have no other questions, Mr. Chair.
Paul, will the document thereafter repair be like a red line where it shows what's being deleted and what's being added?
Well, just to clarify the question, this is really going to be a new document per se. So it would address and reflect the past reexamination reports and master plans, but to the extent that changes are recommended, they would just be stated. It wouldn't be we're not going to redline an old document and update it that way.
Any other questions? Well, do you have an anticipated draft timeframe? Paul?
I was asked to prepare the document in draft form in the short term. I plan on having a working draft prepared in a few weeks, per se. So it's in the short term. If there are no radical changes to policies and the like, the document can be fairly straightforward and the like. Just because it's required to update your master plan every 10 years. If there is a need to update it more often, you could revise the document. It's a living document, could be updated and amended as well. So it's my understanding that, there's a need to get revised zoning regulations on the books. and that this document holds up that process. So if the town wants to update its ordinances, it needs to update its master plan. So that's driving the timing somewhat, is my understanding.
My question is in concert with the counselors. If it's available in 2 weeks, then that would be notified, and in our next meeting, we would have discussion. That would be our public meeting, Counselor?
If it's ready for that next meeting, you'd have to give notice 10 days prior in the newspaper. So it would be a public hearing. So the board would have an opportunity to comment upon the draft report, and the public would have an opportunity to comment upon the report. So it would be a two-step process. But the key being notice has to be given.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. Any other questions regarding the master plan reexamination? Seeing none, we'll move on. If anybody in the public would like to come forward and discuss any matter with the planning board, now is your opportunity to do so. I'd like a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Motion.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Lance. Seeing nobody come forward, which was a surprise, I'd like a motion to close the meeting to the public.
Motion. Second.
This was Lance and then Mike. Any new business to discuss? We're all looking at you, Sal. We're all looking at you. Any new business? No? Okay, any old business? Anyone like to discuss? All right, our next meeting will be March 2nd, followed by April 6th, May 4th. I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
By Mike, second by Lance. Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.